Captain Ethan Voss had seen many worlds, but nothing like Zythera. He stood on the observation deck of the transport ship, staring out at the planet below. Its sky glowed with two suns, casting shades of gold and violet across the vast landscapes. Towering crystal spires rose from the ground, reflecting the light in dazzling patterns. Rivers of shimmering liquid ran through forests of luminous plants, and the mountains looked like waves frozen in mid-crash. Ethan's mind raced. He had expected adventure on distant planets, but never had he imagined being summoned for a purpose he did not yet understand. The transmission from Zythera's council had been clear. He was chosen, as a human, to assist the alien queen, Lyraea, in ensuring the survival of her species. It sounded impossible. Humans had never interfered in alien royal matters, yet here he was, standing on a world that seemed alive with colors and energy he could not explain. The doors slid open, revealing a hallway of polished crystal. It was smooth, cool to the touch, and somehow seemed to hum beneath his fingertips. As he walked, the walls shifted subtly, showing images of Zythera's history, battles, discoveries, and the rule of past queens. Each picture told a story of power, intelligence, and survival. He felt a strange respect and an equal measure of fear. Finally, he reached the throne room. The doors opened into a vast chamber. At its center, raised on a platform of clear crystal, sat Queen Lyraea. She was taller than any human, with delicate features, silver-blue skin that shimmered like the planet's rivers, and eyes the color of Zythera's twin suns. Her hair flowed behind her like liquid light, and her robes sparkled with intricate patterns that seemed to move as she breathed. She looked every bit the Queen of Legends. Ethan bowed instinctively, though he was not sure if bowing was appropriate in Zytheran culture. Lyraea's gaze met his, and for a moment, the room felt silent. It was not the silence of emptiness, it was a silence that demanded attention, respect, and understanding. "You are Captain Ethan Voss," Lyraea said, her voice soft but powerful. "The Council has chosen you for a purpose beyond your understanding. You are to assist me in a matter critical to Zythera's survival." Ethan swallowed. I don't understand. Why me? I'm just a human explorer. G. The Queen's eyes softened slightly, though her regal posture never faltered. Humans possess qualities rare among other species: courage, adaptability, persistence. You may not see it in yourself, but your species can offer something vital to Zythera. I am without an heir, and the continuity of my people depends on a new life. The Council believes you may help make that possible. Ethan's mind spun. He had expected dangerous missions, alien diplomacy, even first contact with unknown species. But this? He had not imagined being summoned to father an alien heir. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. I will do my best," he said finally. The words sounded small, even to him, but he meant them with every ounce of sincerity he had. Lyraea inclined her head. "That is all I ask. Come, I will show you the palace and the rituals you must understand. You will need knowledge, patience, and courage, Captain. Zythera's future depends on your cooperation." She led him through corridors that twisted like living vines, the walls glowing softly to light their path. Ethan saw strange creatures, some like birds with translucent wings, others like serpents with glowing scales moving freely, none seeming aggressive. Servants, with smooth silver-blue skin like the Queen, moved silently, tending to the palace. Every step revealed the depth and beauty of a civilization far older than humanity. In a chamber that overlooked a valley of crystal trees, Lyraea stopped. "This is where the first trials will take place," she explained. "You must understand our culture, our physiology, and our expectations. Only then can we hope to succeed." Ethan nodded, though his stomach twisted. The scale of what he was being asked to do was overwhelming. But as he looked into Liraya's eyes, he saw not arrogance or demand, he saw hope, fear, and responsibility. It was a weight he could not ignore. Days passed, each filled with lessons. Ethan learned the language of Scythera, practiced rituals that strengthened the bond between the queen and her chosen partner, and observed the ways of the court. Liraya taught him with patience, though her serene demeanor hid exhaustion and worry. Despite the alien surroundings, Ethan found himself adapting. He discovered that humans had an uncanny ability to solve problems creatively, even in ways alien logic did not anticipate. Liraya noticed. "You are unlike any being I have known," she said one evening, as they watched Scythera's twin moons rise over the mountains. "Humans see solutions, where others see impossibilities." Ethan smiled, though it was tinged with uncertainty. "I just try to do what I can. I don't know if it will be enough." "It may be more than enough," she said softly. "Sometimes, survival does not come from strength alone. It comes from courage, hope, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. You have these qualities, Captain. That is why you are here." The human and the queen walked in silence for a while, sharing stories of their worlds. Ethan spoke of Earth, of oceans and forests, of cities and skies. Liraya shared tales of Scythera, of wars fought to protect knowledge, of generations who had shaped the planet's beauty. In those conversations, a bond began to form, not of romance, but of trust and mutual respect. But Scythera was not without danger. Whispers in the corridors spoke of factions opposed to the union of human and queen. Some feared change. Others resented a human interfering in Scytheran destiny. Ethan had yet to meet these factions, but he could feel their presence, like a shadow hovering at the edges of light. One evening, as he prepared for rest, Ethan looked out at the glowing rivers and crystal mountains. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him. Yet beneath the fear was a spark of excitement, a sense that he was part of something extraordinary. He was not just an explorer now. He was a part of a story that could shape the future of a planet, and perhaps even a galaxy. And somewhere deep within, he knew that Queen Liraya felt it too. The chapter of fear and uncertainty was ending. The chapter of action, hope, and survival was about to begin. Days turned into weeks, and Captain Ethan Voss began to understand Scythera more deeply. Its beauty was not just in its glowing landscapes or crystal cities, it was in the rhythm of life itself. Every creature, every plant, every stream seemed connected to something larger. Yet, no matter how fascinating the planet was, Ethan knew his main task lay with Queen Liraya. The queen had begun the rituals of bonding, ancient ceremonies meant to strengthen the connection between the chosen mate and the future mother of Scythera's line. These rituals were strange to Ethan at first. They involved synchronized breathing, meditation near the luminous pools, and learning the patterns of Scythera's energy flow. For humans, the rituals were exhausting. For Liraya, they were even more challenging, as she had endured decades of trying to conceive with no success. Ethan watched her one afternoon as she knelt by a pool of liquid light. Her hands traced the patterns of energy flowing across the surface, and her silver-blue skin shimmered brighter than usual. He could see the tension in her posture. She was regal, but she carried the weight of responsibility, fear, and hope all at once. "You are doing well, Captain," Liraya said without turning to him. Her voice was calm but carried authority. "Patience is not just a human quality. It is a trait that will define the future of this planet." Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "I will do my best. I don't want to fail you or your people." Liraya finally looked at him, her eyes soft but assessing. "You must understand. This is not about failure or success alone. It is about trust. The bond between us must be stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. Only then can life grow." Ethan had never felt so responsible in his life. Back on Earth, his missions had been dangerous. Yes, but those dangers were straightforward. This was different. This was about life itself. The first weeks of the rituals were difficult. Ethan struggled with the alien energy flows, often failing to synchronize. Liraya remained patient, guiding him, correcting him gently but firmly. Slowly, he began to sense the rhythms, the subtle pulses in the air, the way the crystal walls seemed to hum with life. He realized that the planet itself was teaching him. One evening, while practicing near a pool, Ethan lost his balance and fell into the shimmering liquid. The energy surged through him, causing his mind to spin. For a moment, he felt fear. But then, something unexpected happened. He felt Liraya's presence beside him, not just physically, but in a way that transcended the human senses. He could feel her focus, her calm, and her strength guiding him. When he emerged from the pool, gasping, Liraya's expression was unreadable. Then, slowly, she smiled. "You are learning more quickly than I expected. Not through strength, but through openness. That is rare." Ethan laughed, shaking his head. "I think I was mostly scared." "Fear is not weakness," she replied. "It is proof that you care. That is why you are human." Despite these small victories, tension grew in the palace. Whispers of dissent among the court reminded Ethan that not everyone welcomed a human in their queen's inner circle. Some nobles feared that a human mate would disrupt the natural order of Zythera, while others simply resented change. Ethan could sense their glances, feel their judgment in every hallway and chamber. Yet, Liraya never wavered. She treated him with respect and guidance, showing the court that unity was more important than prejudice. One morning, while walking through the gardens, Ethan noticed a figure moving suspiciously near the royal chambers. It was one of the rogue factions, the small group opposed to the human-queen bond. They had been watching, waiting for an opportunity. Ethan confronted the figure, relying on his training and instincts. The human ingenuity he brought to the encounter caught the intruder off guard. With calm and careful reasoning, he convinced the individual to leave before causing harm. When he reported the incident to Liraya, she studied him closely. "You acted decisively," she said. "That is the difference humans bring. We often see obstacles as permanent. You see solutions." Ethan felt a mix of pride and nervousness. "I just did what I thought was right." "Exactly," Liraya replied. "And that is why your presence here is more than symbolic. It is essential." Over time, Ethan and Liraya began to share more personal moments. He learned of the queen's doubts and fears, the years spent trying to conceive, the pressure of her people's expectations, and the loneliness of leadership. In turn, he shared stories of Earth, of human families, of struggles and triumphs. These exchanges were not just conversation, they were a bridge between species, a way for two very different beings to understand each other. One evening, as the twin suns set behind the mountains, Liraya asked, "Do you think humans can truly understand what it means to carry the weight of an entire species?" Ethan considered this carefully. "Maybe not fully, but I know we can try. And sometimes, trying is what matters most." The queen's expression softened. "Yes, that is why you are here. You are willing to try where others would hesitate." The bond between them deepened. Trust was growing, built on shared experiences, respect, and the challenges they faced together. Yet, both knew the trials were far from over. The rituals were demanding, and the rogue faction remained a threat. Every day, Ethan and Liraya prepared not just for conception, but for the possibility that outside forces might try to destroy what they were building. Late one night, Ethan stood on a balcony, looking at the twin moons shining over Zythera. Liraya joined him quietly. For the first time, he saw a vulnerability in her gaze, a mixture of hope and fear. "Do you think it will work?" Ethan asked. Lyraya's voice was soft, almost a whisper. I do not know. But I sense something. A chance. A possibility. That is enough for now. Ethan nodded. Then we keep trying. Together. She placed her hand lightly on his. The gesture was simple, but it carried immense meaning. It was trust, partnership, and shared responsibility, all in one. On a distant planet, beneath alien suns and moons, two very different beings were forging a bond that could change the course of history. The trials of bonding were only beginning, but already, Ethan felt that something extraordinary was unfolding. Something that went beyond rituals, beyond duty, and beyond fear. Together, they faced the unknown. And together, they would see if life itself could be awakened in ways no one had ever imagined. Weeks had passed since Ethan Voss began his life on Scythera, and he had grown into the rhythm of the planet. He understood the energy flows, the strange creatures, and the rituals of the Queen. But nothing could have prepared him for the moment when something truly miraculous happened. Queen Lyraya had been undergoing the final stages of the ancient Scytheran rituals. These ceremonies were designed to awaken life within the Queen, a responsibility that carried both hope and danger. For decades, she had tried to bear an heir without success, and each failure had been a heavy burden. But Ethan, through his patience, courage, and unwavering support, had helped her maintain hope. It was during the rare alignment of Scythera's twin suns that the miracle occurred. The sun's energy, amplified by the crystalline pools and ancient rituals, created a flow of power unlike any other in the planet's history. Lyraya felt it coursing through her body, a warmth that was not just physical but spiritual. She fell to her knees, gasping. As the energy seemed to wrap her in light, Ethan rushed to her side. Are you all right? He asked, panic rising in his chest. Lyraya lifted her glowing eyes to him. I am. Something is happening, she whispered, her voice trembling with awe and emotion. It is the energy of life itself. I feel hope. For hours, Ethan stayed beside her, holding her hand, offering words of encouragement. The palace seemed to hum with the unusual energy, the walls reflecting the light from the twin suns in dazzling patterns. Outside, citizens of Scythera watched the skies, sensing something extraordinary. Even the animals and plants seemed to respond, their movements synchronized with the flow of power. Finally, as dawn approached, Lyraya rose with a strength and serenity she had not known in decades. She looked at Ethan with tears in her eyes. It has happened, she said softly. Life is growing within me. Our heir is real. Ethan felt a mix of relief, joy, and awe. This is incredible. You've done it, he said, though he realized it was more than just her efforts. It was the union of human and alien, of courage and wisdom, of hope and determination. But joy quickly turned to caution. The rogue faction within Scythera had been watching, waiting for an opportunity to disrupt the Queen's plans. Now that conception had occurred, their fear and anger grew stronger. Ethan and Lyraya knew they could not let their guard down. The next days were filled with careful preparation. The palace reinforced its defenses, and trusted allies monitored the rogue faction's movements. Ethan learned how to navigate Scythera's advanced technology, blending human ingenuity with alien systems to create strategies that would protect the Queen and her unborn heir. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Ethan and Lyraya walked through the palace gardens. The air was filled with the gentle glow of bioluminescent plants, and the distant mountains shimmered in silver light. Lyraya placed her hand on her abdomen, feeling the first signs of life. The child is strong, she said quietly. I can feel it. A new kind of energy. It is part human, part Scytheran, a bridge between worlds. Ethan smiled. It will be extraordinary, and it will have both our strengths, our courage, our wisdom, Our hope. She looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. You have been my strength, Captain. Without you, I do not know if this would have been possible. End quote. We have been possible. We have been possible. We have been possible. Ethan shook his head. You are the queen. You have carried the weight of your people for decades. I only helped when I could. The bond between them had deepened beyond duty. It was now rooted in trust, respect, and the shared goal of protecting life itself. But the danger was never far. Late one night, alarms sounded through the palace. The rogue faction had made their move, attempting to breach the royal chambers. Ethan sprang into action, coordinating security teams and using both human tactics and Scytheran technology. The attackers were clever and determined, but they had underestimated the combination of human ingenuity and alien strategy. Ethan led a small team through hidden passages, using unconventional methods to outmaneuver the intruders. Liraya, despite the strain of her pregnancy, used her powers to protect the palace and repel attackers. The air shimmered with energy as humans and Scytherans fought side by side, united against the threat. By dawn, the palace was secure. The rogue faction had been forced to retreat, their plans thwarted. Ethan and Liraya stood together in the throne room, breathing heavily but victorious. You are remarkable, Liraya said, placing her hand gently on his arm. Your courage saved us all. Ethan smiled, though he felt the weight of what had just happened. We saved each other, he replied. And the child. The palace slowly returned to calm, but the sense of anticipation remained. News spread throughout Scythera that the queen had conceived an heir, the first hybrid child in the planet's history. The people were filled with hope and wonder, inspired by the union of human and alien. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and Liraya focused on nurturing the queen's strength and protecting the unborn heir. They trained, studied, and prepared for the challenges ahead, knowing that the child would represent not only the future of Scythera, but also the potential for humans and aliens to work together in harmony. One evening, Ethan looked out at the glowing rivers and crystal mountains. Do you think the child will be different? He asked quietly. Liraya smiled softly. Different, yes, but extraordinary. This child will carry the best of both worlds, and it will remind Scythera, and perhaps even your world, that courage, hope, and trust can create miracles. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. He had never imagined that a human could play such a pivotal role on an alien world. But now, he understood that survival, hope, and unity often required stepping beyond fear and embracing the impossible. As the twin moons shone over Scythera, Ethan and Liraya stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The miracle had begun, but the journey was far from over. Together, they would protect life, defend hope, and guide the future of a world that had chosen to believe in the strength of humans. And somewhere deep within, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning of something truly extraordinary. The peaceful glow of Scythera's twin suns was shattered by the sound of alarms echoing across the crystal city. Ethan Voss had barely finished his morning training with the Queen when the warning lights flashed. The rogue faction, the very group that had tried to sabotage Liraya's pregnancy, had launched a full-scale attack. Ethan's heart raced. He had anticipated threats, but a siege of this magnitude was unlike anything he had seen. The attackers were numerous and armed with advanced weapons designed to bypass even Scythera's powerful defenses. Yet he knew that fear would not save them. Only strategy, courage, and unity could. Captain Ethan, Liraya called, her voice steady despite the tension. Her silver blue eyes shone with determination. This is the moment we have prepared for. Lead our forces, protect the city and the air within me. Ethan nodded. We will hold them back, Your Majesty. We fight together. The palace corridors filled with the sounds of armored defenders and the hum of energy shields activating. Humans and Zytherans moved side by side, a combined force strengthened by trust and mutual respect. Ethan quickly took command, directing the placement of defenders, organizing evacuation routes for civilians, and setting traps along the city's crystalline walls. The rogue faction attacked from multiple directions, their ships hovering above the spires while ground troops breached the outer walls. Ethan realized that conventional tactics would not work. Thinking fast, he coordinated human ingenuity with Zytheran technology. Shields were rotated unpredictably, energy pulses redirected, and hidden pathways used to flank enemy forces. Meanwhile, Lyria focused on protecting the palace and its central chambers. Despite the strain of her pregnancy, she channeled her energy with precise control, creating barriers that held back waves of attackers. Her power was unlike anything Ethan had ever witnessed. She was regal, commanding, and fierce, a queen defending not just her city, but the very future of her people. Ethan led a small team to intercept a group attempting to reach the royal chambers. They moved through the labyrinth of crystal corridors, using shadows and reflections to hide their presence. With quick thinking, he trapped the intruders in energy nets, disabling their weapons without harming them. Zytheran guards followed his instructions, impressed by the humans' clever strategies. Back at the throne room, Lyria felt the strain of the battle. The energy she wielded to protect the palace was immense, and every pulse took strength from her body. She looked at the protective barriers and realized she needed Ethan's help. Reaching out, she sent a signal through the palace network, a call for the human captain's guidance. Ethan, receiving the signal, understood immediately. He redirected Zytheran defenders to reinforce the palace walls and created a diversion to draw enemy forces away. With precise timing, they combined their efforts. Ethan's tactical mind and Lyria's powerful energy formed an unbreakable defense. Hours passed in a blur of movement, strategy, and courage. Civilians were evacuated, and the rogue faction's ships were forced to retreat, unable to penetrate the combined human-Zytheran defenses. Ethan moved through the battlefield with calm authority, guiding forces, inspiring confidence, and making split-second decisions that turned the tide. Finally, the rogue faction's remaining troops were cornered. Ethan and Lyria met at the palace's central courtyard, side by side. The queen raised her hands, channeling her energy in a controlled wave that pushed the attackers back without causing permanent harm. Ethan coordinated the final movements of the defenders, ensuring every enemy was neutralized or captured. The battle ended as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city. Zythera was safe for now, but the cost of vigilance was clear in the weary faces of its defenders. Lyria, though exhausted, remained composed. She turned to Ethan, her eyes reflecting both pride and relief. "You were remarkable," she said quietly. "Your courage, your mind, your determination, it saved us all." Ethan shook his head, smiling despite the exhaustion. "We saved each other, and the child." The citizens of Zythera slowly emerged from their shelters, witnessing the united strength of humans and aliens defending their home. The tale of courage and ingenuity spread quickly, inspiring hope and a renewed belief in the power of unity. In the following days, the palace returned to calm, though the memory of the siege lingered. Ethan and Lyria worked together to strengthen the city's defenses, train new leaders, and ensure that the child's safety would never again be threatened. Their partnership had grown beyond mutual respect. It was now a bond forged in fire, courage, and shared purpose. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the mountains, Ethan and Lyria walked through the palace gardens. The air was filled with the soft glow of bioluminescent plants, reflecting the beauty of a world that had survived against great odds. "The city is safe," Ethan said quietly. "For now. But the rogue faction, they may try again." Lyria nodded, her hand resting lightly on her abdomen. "They may. but they will never overcome what we have built here together. Strength is not just in power, it is in trust, unity, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. Ethan looked at her, feeling a deep sense of admiration. "You were amazing, Your Majesty. I never imagined I could be part of something like this." "You were always part of it," she replied softly. "Humans are capable of extraordinary things. You have shown me that courage, hope, and ingenuity can save worlds." They stood together in silence, watching the moons reflect on the crystal spires and glowing rivers. For the first time, Ethan felt that he truly belonged on Sci-Fi, not just as a visitor, but as a protector, a partner, and a part of something greater than himself. As the stars twinkled above, Liraya whispered. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of pride, responsibility, and hope. The miracle of life was growing within the Queen, and the future of Sci-Fi depended on their courage, their unity, and their unwavering dedication. And somewhere deep within, Ethan knew that the most extraordinary part of the journey had yet to come. Together, he and Liraya had defended a planet, proven the strength of humans, and safeguarded the miracle of life. The heir would be born into a world shaped by bravery, wisdom, and hope, and a new chapter of Scytheran history was about to begin. Months had passed since the miraculous conception, and Scythera had changed. The city shimmered brighter. The people moved with renewed hope, and the air itself seemed to hum with anticipation. Everywhere, citizens whispered about the coming of the first hybrid heir, a child who would carry both human and Scytheran traits, a living symbol of unity and possibility. Captain Ethan Voss had grown into a steady presence in the palace. He walked the corridors with quiet authority, assisting Liraya and ensuring her safety, while also earning the respect of Scythera's people. His bond with the Queen had deepened into one of trust and partnership. They were not just allies, they were a team, a union of two very different worlds working toward a shared future. Liraya's pregnancy had been closely monitored, both for her safety and for the child's. Scythera's advanced technology combined with Ethan's human intuition to anticipate every need, every complication. Yet even with the careful planning, the anticipation was palpable. The Queen's glow, the light that had always marked her power, now radiated warmth, love, and life itself. One morning, as the twin suns rose, the palace was filled with a sense of urgency. Liraya felt the first signs that the time had come. She called for Ethan, her voice calm but firm. "It is time," she said, placing her hand lightly on his arm. "The heir is ready to be born." Ethan's heart raced, though he kept his expression steady. "I'm here. We will do this together." The palace staff moved quickly, preparing the birthing chamber, which had been specially designed to accommodate both Scytheran and human needs. Light energy flowed in gentle waves, calming Liraya and focusing the power of the city on the momentous event. Ethan stayed close, holding her hand and offering steady words of encouragement. "Breathe with me," he whispered. "You are strong. The child will come safely." Hours passed in a mixture of anticipation, effort, and quiet focus. Liraya's strength amazed everyone present. She guided the energy within her, channeling it to support the life growing inside. Ethan marveled at her determination. Every pulse, every breath, every movement was a testament to her resilience and courage. Finally, the moment arrived. A cry, gentle but clear, echoed through the chamber. It was unlike any sound Ethan had heard, a mixture of human and Scytheran tones, full of life, curiosity, and promise. The hybrid heir had entered the world. Liraya, though exhausted, smiled as she held the child. The baby's skin shimmered with a soft glow, a combination of human warmth and Scytheran luminescence. Its eyes reflected both worlds, the intelligence and curiosity of humans, and the wisdom and grace of Scythera. Ethan knelt beside them, feeling a surge of awe and pride. "It's perfect," he whispered. Lyraya looked at him, her expression filled with love and gratitude. "We did this together," she said softly. "This child is more than an heir. It is hope. It is unity. It is proof that courage, trust, and collaboration can create miracles." Word of the birth spread quickly across Scythera. Citizens poured into the streets, gazing at the palace, celebrating the arrival of the hybrid child. Leaders and elders who had once doubted the human's role now bowed in respect, recognizing the extraordinary contributions of Ethan and the strength of unity between species. The palace held a ceremony to honor the child. Light energy danced across the halls, casting shimmering reflections on every crystal surface. Ethan and Lyraya stood together, presenting the heir to their people. The child's presence seemed to inspire awe in every observer, a living bridge between human and Scytheran worlds. As the ceremony concluded, Lyraya spoke to the assembly. "This child represents the future of Scythera, a future built not on fear or division, but on trust, courage, and hope. Together, humans and Scytherans can face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and create a world worthy of life itself." Ethan watched the queen speak, feeling the truth in her words. He had come to Scythera as an outsider, uncertain and cautious. Now, he was part of a story that would be told for generations, a story of bravery, partnership, and the extraordinary potential of humans. In the following days, life on Scythera settled into a new rhythm. The queen recovered, the child grew stronger each day, and the palace became a symbol of hope and unity. Humans and Scytherans worked side by side, sharing knowledge, technology, and culture. The rogue faction, seeing the unity and strength of the people, gradually faded into the shadows, powerless against the force of cooperation and courage. Ethan spent quiet moments watching the child explore the world, marveling at its curiosity and intelligence. The hybrid heir reached for objects with careful precision, observed plants and animals with keen interest, and responded to both human and Scytheran voices with understanding and wonder. "This child will change everything," Ethan whispered to Lyraya one evening, as they watched the twin moons rise. "Yes," she replied softly, "and it will remind us all that life, in its most extraordinary form, is worth protecting. That courage, hope, and trust are more powerful than fear, division, or doubt." Ethan took her hand, holding it gently. "We've done something amazing. Together, we've protected the future." Lyraya nodded, her eyes reflecting both pride and love. "And this is only the beginning. The child will grow, learn, and inspire our worlds. Humans and Scytherans alike will see the possibilities of unity, courage, and collaboration." As the moons shone over the crystalline mountains, Ethan felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Scythera was no longer just a distant planet, it was home. He was no longer just a human captain, he was a protector, a partner, and a part of a story greater than himself. And in the quiet of the night, as the hybrid heir slept peacefully in the glow of the palace, Ethan realized that hope was alive, not just in the child, but in every human and Scytheran who dared to trust, to act, and to believe in something extraordinary. The future of Scythera, the legacy of the Queen, and the courage of humans had converged in this single moment. And from that moment forward, a new chapter began, one of hope, unity, and limitless possibility. For the first time in generations, both species could truly believe that together they could overcome anything.